Greetings once again from our jewel by the Caribbean Sea. I am G. Michael Reed. Welcome to our weekly podcast. We invite you to stay with us, engage with us, subscribe to us, like us. We're joined each week on this forum by a couple of interesting individuals, and you will see what I mean as you stay tuned and listen. We deal with trending topics, things that are on the scene, social media. All right. We we're expecting our co-host phone call coming in there. You have to excuse me for that. Um, let's straighten it out and get on with this. So we're on every Thursday evening. I'm from Belize City along with Joe Cowie. He comes on usually, and of course Jeremy Spooner, the voice of controversy. He threw away, and at the end of the day, you can believe that everything that is said is sincere and from the heart. We will continue to do this without fear and favor. We have no scapegoats, no sacred cows, no agendas, whether it be personal, whether it be political, whether it be religious. None whatsoever. um, Not from the host, the chairman's point of view. I am the chairman pro tem, if only. Don't know how it goes down the future. The producer makes the final call. Clinton Young, CY, produced the show and from New York City. He holds the switches, throw the buttons, push the buttons, throw the switches, and we sit by and abide. Here somebody else is coming in here. Well, Carla, come in, Carla. You remember the Dickie Bradley show, Spooner?
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, I used to have fun watching. I also good night, everybody. I also used to like the show with Cedric Flowers, Evan X
Oh
High,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
the red guy with
Bill
the man that
Lindo.
caused what
Bill
was his
Lindo.
name?
Bill
No,
Lindo.
Bill Lindo, Rufus X.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
used to enjoy. I used to enjoy listening to that, and Dickie Bradley.
Yeah, Dickie was on there a lot too. Yeah, they are. Let's welcome the third wheel, the third foot of his stool, Joe,
Yeah,
the venerable Joe
his
Jose
ex-
Cowie.
Yes.
Greetings,
His
guys.
Excellency, the Mayor of Belize. Yep.
Yeah,
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 boy,
yeah, yeah. Mayor multiple times. I tell you, how many times? You were mayor one or two, at least, or three times. How many?
well, it was for 4 years.
Wow. Okay. Well, 4 years. That's
I was there for 9 years, really, at this subnational city council. But 4 years
uh,
after nine, I was mayor.
and you did how
What
many years
years?
in
What
government?
In government, I did 20 years.
Oh, go ahead, Spooner.
Well, sorry,
Yeah.
because 10 was as minister, and then I did from 5 years as senator.
Yeah. What years were you mayor?
All right, I was in the council from 89 to 98. So I was
Okay.
mayor. I was mayor at the latter part, and then I won the election, the national election in 98. So I had moved on to national government when I was mayor.
You were still mayor when you ran for the government.
Yeah,
For council.
I was councillor for some years, then I became mayor.
Uh-huh.
Then when I ran in the national, I was mayor.
Okay, and so you had to abandon that post apparently.
Yeah, I had to give up that, of course, to move on.
And what? You had a deputy mayor that stepped in, or was there a by-election?
No, we had a deputy.
I see.
At the time, it was Marshall Nunez.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, we are big. There's a big gorilla sitting in the living room, and I think before we get to, we got other issues, but before we get to that, any other issue, I think we have to look at that. Apparently, somebody put their finger on the globe and was tracing around, and when they got to Belize, they stopped. I saw a story on the internet that it seems we are now under the radar. We're not under the radar anymore. We're on the radar. They're looking at us, and I heard the word corruption mentioned in there. So apparently, the United States has been looking at Belize now, and there are some matters that they believe needs to be addressed. Have you guys seen that story and any comments on it?
Yes, I saw it. Hector Silva posted it,
Okay. Did was
and that,
the Joe? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
Was it from a credible media source, or was it just from one of those fly by night podcasts?
The
they
one that
were
I saw,
prominent people. Yeah.
yeah, the one that
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
saw was a former member of the White House. He was taken
Okay.
from official position at some time back, and it was he who made those assertions and beliefs. Huh?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that it is important for us to do our own analysis and to
Yeah.
try to understand whether what he's saying is true or not. So I always think that the facts, you must have the facts, and then the law should follow. So if we have the facts, then you follow the law. Well, what he was saying, there was a fact that there was some controversy surrounding the acquisitions and the transaction that took place in particular the three that he mentioned, which is the BTL
Right.
and the what you call it, the one out that is
Or
ceased.
the key out there, yeah, with the Finsteins and them, yeah.
Right, right. So those were the three he mentioned. Now, as far as I know, with the port and with the BTL issue, there are some concerns that we Belizeans should have about them. For the reason that we had no fix, and that's one of the things I think we should be asking ourselves. What really type of ideology were we supposed to be following? Because what he is insinuating there, as if though that Belize is sort of a kind of left-wing socialist type government and abusing investors, that to me is what he seems to be insinuating.
Yeah.
Now, he claimed the one with the State Bank project, that's it.
Right. Right.
Now, we have to have the facts on these projects and ask ourselves was there any such abuse of investments, foreign or local investors in this country? In those cases, and here where we should have those facts. Among I know about the case with the port, what has been happening, and this is what I think we need to ask ourselves quite frankly. You see, we had started with what we call the privatization, and the privatization went very far under the PUP. Esquivel started the first privatization with DTL. But when the PUP came in, we went into full fledged, we began to just privatize, privatize, privatize. And that was where I began to raise concerns because after those privatizations, the government then began to take back. And this was when they were beginning to the question, well, this could affect investor confidence in the country. And there is some truth to those things. But I asked myself, well, why is it that they were done? Why did we, in the case of the BTL, that was in the hands of Ashcraft, and the government decided to acquire it. The case of the port, it would seem to me that when Ashcraft could not have gone through with getting the go ahead for the marina or for the project that he wanted to do for cruise ships, then it looked like the government and them met and he decided that they would take over the port, take it back. The issue with the State Bank, as far as I know, I'm mentioning these three that you talk about. There was the company there that had borrowed money from the Atlantic Bank to do the State Bank project. It seems to me that the borrower defaulted on the payment, and under the mortgage agreement, they had a right to sell to recover. And the project was sold to, I think, the same group, the Bessel Group, I think, that owns the Atlantic Bank. But what happened, from what I am told, that Finstein personally owned the land immediately around it. But once they had acquired what is inside, the land around it, if that is not also acquired by the new owners, then it will sterilize the project. It really impairs the value of the project. So
But
what
but but, but let me clear that up for you. When you say the land around it, you have an island. And you're talking about the seabed then that they own?
No, what happened is that most of what was their stake bank was mangrove swamp, as you know.
Okay.
And then they
Right.
got the go ahead, and the government sold a portion of that, or almost what was there, and they filled that. But then he also gone and he got some land around it, but that was not in the name of that company that the money was borrowed for. That
Oh,
was
so he expanded the island, filled
right,
in around it,
right,
and that was not a part of the initial island.
right.
So, yeah,
So it seems to me then that he who bought the land inside, evidently, if he cannot get the land outside, then he impairs the value of the project. So
yeah.
what the government did, the government decided to intervene and acquire it as for public interest. So the government felt that it should acquire, and then they will be able to sell it on to the company that owns the inside. And that is what would have solved it. Of course, the owner made some made some offers to sell it, but they looked like what was being asked for was far too high, and they didn't. So the matter went to court. So I think the court is to resolve that.
But is this Joe? Do you think? Um, Go ahead, guys. Let me see what is happening with this telephone business. I'm trying to figure it out. Matter where the first person would get to like so you go and complain. The first person that gets to complain that the one would get the attention or then they believe them before they even look at the full facts, because from what you're saying there, it seems they're not the comments that are made weren't based upon the full facts of the matter, that there are some other things that they might need to consider before uh, um,
Well,
making a declaration like that.
let's put it this way. If there are controversies in investments in the country, and the controversies in most cases seems to be between the government and the investors,
Mhm.
that in itself could send the wrong signals to investors. And that was made clearly at the time when the issue
Who's
with
that?
draft. They felt that what the government was doing to acquire that asset against
I'm
the
on
will
the
of the people.
podcast, okay?
It didn't go down well for the country. That was what was being said by those who have concerns about what we need to attract investment, foreign or
Mhm.
local investment. So there is some truth to what he said, but I don't believe that. I don't know if they had the moral authority anyhow to speak on about Belize in the sense, but I think he could have tempered it and not make it came over. He make it came over as if though we have some feeling towards some authoritarian left wing government.
Now, the point is that you say that it's a former member of the White House, which could be on a any government, but so that no official thing from the government itself. They're not like Trump that said this, but a former member of the White House, correct?
Well, yes, and he speaks, I would say, with authority as to what Trump is doing. Because with you see what happened, he was not he happened to came down to Belize, but he was speaking about the whole Latin America and the Caribbean countries. And he began now to show where so many countries were going towards the left. And then they begin to shift from the left towards the right. And then he came down to Belize. And then he mentioned Belize. And that is the one that attracted the attention in Belize, of course.
So
So
then,
he seems to be saying that the United States will not tolerate left wing governments in this region because they are corrupt.
boy,
That,
go ahead, Jerry. We're going to say something.
I was gonna. You had asked our take on the foreign broadcasts about Belize, and I was listening to it with interest. And then the guy, when the guy said that how he made Belize look like it was one of these Latin republics nationalizing. He said the acquisition was a nationalization of a private company, and then I said, well, this guy hasn't really done his research because it wasn't government moving in to take over. He didn't understand the background of what was going on between BTL and Smart and the controversy what is
But
going
no,
on
but
right.
but I don't think he was talking about the BTL and Smart this current
He
acquisition.
mentioned that, didn't he?
I don't know. I don't think he
Was he talking
mentioned
about the
BTL.
land deal?
Yeah,
You're
I,
talking
no,
about
no. I think that the mention of BTL was about the prior takeover of government on BTL, not this current issue that's
okay.
going on. So he's probably dated anyway with his assessment of what's going on. No?
Okay, well, when I heard that, I sort of questioned the credibility, and I didn't like how he portrayed Belize, like in my thinking, because I've lived in the first world, and they look at us as these little republics, third world republics, with corruption, which is true about the corruption that what Belize trying to nationalize. So if they were referring to what Joe was talking about, then I'm bad. But I thought it. He mentioned that, but I thought he also mentioned the BTL because he mentioned the BTL. The acquisition. Maybe I associated it with BTL. I thought he
Right.
was talking about BTL too. Okay, all
He
right.
Yeah.
So I'm
specifically,
wrong.
he specifically mentioned BTL, but he did not specifically mention BTL Smart.
Okay,
But I take
yeah,
it that when he said BTL, it is not the BTL Smart, it is the acquisition of BTL by the government from our investor.
yes.
Remember what happened a while ago? Yeah.
There's some truth to that. I mean, what he said in that one was true.
But you said something though, Joe, that makes a lot of sense. They won't be happy to hear it, but do they really have the moral authority to be talking to people about what they can do and not do? And when we look at what's happening right there in the mighty US of A, that the rest of the world is looking on and wonder if they have the authority to be doing what they're doing and if it makes any sense.
Well, let me say this is that even if it was a case that the acquisition of BTL was done in the way it was done, I don't think that the instances that he made reference to was enough to characterize Belize as such. And as you rightly say, I think they should have taken they should have taken the beam out of the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly consider specking ours. So when they talk about what Belize may be doing, to me, that doesn't make Belize to be characterized as no left-wing government just taking over private properties. That's not true.
Yeah.
What the United States is doing under Trump, I mean, that's outrageous. He's not doing it with America. I mean, to go after people simply because they appear to be immigrants illegally and treating them human beings the way they are doing. Then taking countries that seems not to favor Trump personally and saying something about her and put on tariffs on them. So when you look at what the United States is doing, they have no moral authority to judge Belize. Not saying now that we should not really take note of some of the things that is happening, but it's not to the point of where Belize should be characterized as such. Belize is no left-wing communist government just nationalizing private property. That's not so.
Jeremy, your take on that would be interesting. What do
Well,
you um how you see it?
you talking to me?
Yeah. I'm saying your take on it would be very interesting. How are you seeing that um coming from the US and you know putting us in that kind of barrel for
Well,
suggest that we're leftists
well,
and
sometimes in America, you'll meet Americans that are very arrogant and and promote America as this perfect
paragon
country.
of goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them are wrong. I watched a movie the other night, El Salvador, with the guy Woods and directed by Oliver Stone, and just how they portray the Americans barging in. This guy just barging. He's a reporter, and he barged into El Salvador, and just because he's an American, he feels that he could do this, can do that, drinking hard, doing it, driving illegally, driving drunk, barging into press conferences, saying things, interfering, and so on. And you'll have some Americans that are like that, but I know that American people are wonderful people because when I first went to America, I met some bad ones, and then once I passed them, I met the real Americans. I met good people, people who met my friends from Belize, and enjoyed their company and so on. But America does have its your ultra right wing that feel that they're the greatest country in the world, and they will do things, overtake other countries, promote their way of culture and so on in other countries. whether right or wrong. You're talking about Cuba right now. Something like AOC, and the before a little bit here, but AOC. They asked her about China and Taiwan, and she just couldn't answer, properly the question when she was in Europe at this Munich conference. But I like America. I like Americans. What you're probably seeing right now is a divided America. I support more the right presently right now. I asked AI, a person like me that has a foot in both parties, is that wrong? And they said no. They said that you can appreciate the policies of both parties, but at the same time don't appreciate the person who's doing the policies, like Trump. So I can support the Republican Party in some of the things that he's doing, but as a person, I don't have to support him and say that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread in America. I don't know if that's answering your question, but
Well, I tell you what, it's a revelation because when you say a foot in each party, that means you have some affinity to the
I'm a moderate.
Democrats.
I'm a moderate.
You see some of the things the Democrats do as okay, yes, and some of the things that the Republicans do as okay. Yeah,
exactly. I tweaked it in AI, and I said, look, this is what I am. I believe in social programs that the Democrats like, and I believe in law and order and pushing things to make things better in America and so on. I have, well, what am I? Is there something wrong being like that? And AI said, no, you're a moderate. Well, you support things in either party. You're not fully left wing or you're not fully right wing. And that's who I am.
I asked a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I asked a question one time of I was having a conversation with Ralph Fonseca, rest his soul in peace, and I told him this is before I even started working with the government of the day, and I told him, well, I'm kind of like I between the two. I say I like some of the things about the red. I like some of the things about the blue. Basically, what you're saying. And his response to me, well, the only thing in the middle of the road is a dead dog. And I found that interesting. And so, in other words, he figures that you're not going to survive being that way, that you really have to choose one or the other. What do you think of that, Joe?
I have a lot of credit to what Mr. Spooner said. What he's saying is the reality, in the sense that you have conservative governments, which sometimes the president didn't exemplify the principles of conservatism. And then, of course, you have the liberals, the Democrats. But what presidents like Clinton, for example, and it may very well be in this election coming, what Clinton was able to do was to pull from both sides. So they said that he was very good in triangulating. And that's what made him so popular. So he drew from some conservative principles and he drew from liberals. So the truth about it, he was able to bring in the independence and, of course, bring some of the not too fanatical conservatives. So what I think Mr. Spooner is saying makes sense.
Well, there's a theory, Joe, that the figures have changed somewhat, that when first there was like 40 and 20 independents, or people who consider themselves in the middle. Now it is like 20 and 60 in the middle. So I think anyone that gets elected, even Trump, had to pull in some from the other side in order to succeed. So I don't know. At this point, if he controls many of those that he drew in from the other side, I'm sure is gone, and many of those who were even staunch loyalists to him are gone. So I believe that the telling point will be the midterm elections. We'll see what happens.
Well, if you look at his approval rating, which just came out, it's pretty low. He's down at about 37, I think. That's pretty low, one of the lowest. So evidently, his signature policies with immigration and the economy, he's not making headway with it. He just is not. I think when he came to the people with it, he never had a plan. He said he had a concept. And what I think they voted for was indeed because they thought that there were going to be this so-called economic prosperity that he would bring. Now that it is showing that he has not been able to really materialize that promise, they are beginning to go against him.
But Joe, is he delusional? Because every time I hear him speaking, you hear about the numbers are up and prices are down.
No,
Gas.
that's Trump. That's Trump. Trump. The amount of lies that Trump tells in every two sentences there one. Man, it's
Yeah,
no.
careful, you're gonna anger our co-host.
No, I don't see.
No,
Quite
you're not
frankly,
anger me. No,
I am not going to decide who Mr. Spooner is supporting. But I don't see him supporting that dark side of Trump.
no, I
I
don't.
think
No.
he perhaps sees something in Trump that he thinks is good, but I don't think he's no fan.
No. From my observation, I don't think he believes there is a dark side. Tell me about the
No, because
virtues.
G Mike, I don't agree with him. Things like okay, apparently he has removed some Black history from the museums and so on. I don't agree. I don't know why he did that. I don't agree with him putting his name on the Kennedy Center. Why would he do something silly like that? I don't agree with him saying he wouldn't apologize for that thing there with the Obamas with faces on primates' bodies. I think he should have apologized. Whether I don't believe he did it. I believe the staffers did it. I may be wrong, and everybody will laugh at that. But I think he owes an apology to America. That if his staffer did it, he should have said, "I don't approve of that." Blah blah blah. That and he never did, and he said he won't. Why he does things like that, I don't know.
If he didn't, I'm sure he knew that it was done. And I don't know that he was the one who decided to take it down, it seems. So no, but no. But tell us some of the things that you do agree with him on. And I noticed that you changed the cup because I tell you I got a cup like that. Now you're going to our next cup, right? So
but this is the one that my son sent me from the States. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. All right. Good.
I want to ask you a Spooner question.
Yeah.
When Trump is offended by another head of state, be it Canada, Switzerland, whatever one it is, he retaliates with putting on tariff. I mean, is that something good for a president to be doing? He has been doing this. He puts on tariff restrictions when he's offended. It's not when somebody offends the United States per se. It's when Trump feels that he's offended by Canada, Switzerland, all of these countries. He put on tariff on them. No, I don't see the sense in that. If he was putting on tariff for trying to bring back those manufacturing jobs to America, that has some economic sense. It might not work. But to do it simply because you're offended by another country's prime minister, it doesn't affect your country.
I would say that would be immature and childish, but maybe that's his game plan. But yeah, it's immature and childish. I maybe you can tell me. I believed in. Whoops, I lost you guys. Hold on a second here.
We're hearing you still.
I think I caught you in something just now, though. I think I caught you. Just said to me as if though, well, fine, it is wrong that what he did, but maybe that's his game plan. But if you say that maybe that's his game plan, it seems that you're condemning it, but you're trying to justify it. Because
I'm just saying, observing that.
Yeah, but if it's his game plan, then the game plan is wrong.
Well, I'm trying to find out why he's doing what he's doing.
But we should know why he's doing it. One thing with him, sorry to interrupt. One thing with him, he's blunt, he's candid, brutally candid. He will tell you exactly why he's doing it. He doesn't hold back.
If you don't like it, you don't like it.
That's right.
Yeah. But a lot of people in America like that way of how he's doing things.
But see,
they like that game plan.
That's the question I'd like for you to answer for me. What are not a few of the things that you like that he is doing?
Well, one of the main ones is I like the immigration policy. I
the border. You like the border, and
I like how he shut down the border. That's good. So Biden letting so many in. So I think America can't just accept everybody from the world to come into their country, especially illegal.
Are they going to change the words on the Statue of Liberty because you do know what it says, right?
Well, that's from a different time. But yeah, you can welcome people from abroad, but you got to be sensible about it. You just can't allow people to come to your gates and then demand that they
But
want to come in.
Jeremy, isn't it a bit hypocritical though? His wife is an immigrant. America
But
was built on the
yeah,
back of immigrants, and not to mention the ones that were
after
forcibly taken
on
there.
the backs of immigrants after a certain period in their history when they realized that they needed more people to develop America. Yes.
So then you get where one,
But
then
the
you
backbone of America was the British first, and then the colonialists, and then the people who got their independence from Great Britain. Those are the backbone of America. Those are the guys that built America. Those are the guys that had the vision. Everybody else just came in afterwards to help to continue with the vision. But the immigrants, I think the immigrants came in mass during the 19th century, right? Italians, a lot of Irish.
you mean after the slaves had done the building, because the America, what you were saying, the British that came, they didn't do any building, not by themselves.
Of course they did. What do you think did it before there was slavery?
Before.
Huh? Who conquered the Americas?
Yeah, but we are missing the point here. I think, I mean, I hate to say, but this is not relevant. I thought that what we were saying is this. Evidently, Trump has a right under the President of the United States, and all the officials have a right to defend the law. You cannot come into America illegally, and that's what they have a right to do. But when you begin to abuse people's rights in trying to prevent that kind of violation of the law, then that is where I think you go wrong.
Okay, well, what did he do to abuse the law? What was it?
What he did, several people were arrested and abused just because of their profile. That was a fact. He did it to American citizens. They did it. He put
and that's is it 90%, 70%? Is it 10%, 1% of all the people? No, it's just a few people.
I would say this: if one person's right is abused, to me that is enough, because of the way they are doing it. If you listen to all the experts, Republicans and Democrats who have been in law enforcement, you bring people to do a job that was not even trained for it. So they kill people and all. They kill people in the process. How can you say that by killing Americans, by abusing Americans, simply because you are trying to find people who are there illegally? No, man, no way can you justify it.
The way you're wording it, Joe, is you're wording it like these guys, ICE, went out there with the intention to kill these two people. That was their motto. I don't think so. I think they were faced with the situation.
Look at the killing of that guy. Look at the killing of that guy. The girl where had the camera, the girl that was taking the picture, that fellow never even gone in for the gun.
But he had a gun. They knew he had a gun. I'm just saying, under the circumstances, that happened.
He had a gun, but the law allowed him to have it on him.
So he was not breaking the law.
Which is a stupid bloody law, because I would never take
that's not fair. You cannot say that you want choose to say that the law is stupid, therefore you will violate the law.
I don't believe in the gun laws in America. To bear arms, and what you saw on the 6th of January, the guys with the big R15s on their back, strapped with all guns, and I don't believe in that. That's how that kid that went at the riots, the Black Lives Matter riots, and he had that gun, and then when he killed two people. How you allow people like that to go to a demonstration? I don't believe in that.
Well, let me carry it now. Here now. Your objection to what happened should have been an indictment at Trump, because Trump, of course, gave part to those people. These people committed crimes by the court, and he pardoned them. So to tell me that Trump's supposed to have something good about him, I am yet to hear what is good about Trump.
Well, no, I don't support that either. I mean, but all the presidents, they do it. I don't know why they do it. They give them this executive order where they can forgive everybody.
No. There's no president in the United States, the history is there, have ever done pardon in those circumstances like Trump has done. Never.
So why did you think he did it then? Why did it? Well, let's go back to the situation about ICE abusing their power. I don't think those guys went there with the intention to kill anybody. Okay.
What did Alex Pretty do, Jeremy, to get killed? That you felt just taking his gun with
No,
him
I'm
when he
not
went
going to
out there?
justify him being killed at all. You're asking me a question in a way that what did he do to deserve to be killed? I don't think he
No,
deserved to be
but
killed at all, but it happened. It
but
happened.
what do you
He
mean it
was there
happens?
prior. He was looking for attention. He was looking for
Are you serious? You
justification.
got that from that video? He went to try to help the lady that was pushed down.
Right.
How
That's
can
right.
you look at that
Yes, but
as
in a demonstration, what you need to do is you can't cross the lines. If the guys are doing their job and you got all these people around you, you don't know if they have a gun, you don't know if they have a knife, you don't know what they're going to do with you. They're all mingling in with the ICE agent, preventing them from doing their job. This lady, I don't know. I mean, can you imagine if you were out there and everybody's just got their cameras right in your face and calling you all kinds Nazi, fascist,
well, if
murderers,
I was
right
that, I'd
in your
have to
face,
take it.
stoning them with
If
things
I
and
was
so on.
acting like
You
that, I
know?
imagine I would have to accept
Okay.
that they're calling me that.
All right.
Because they are
Okay.
acting
But why
like
didn't
that.
he just leave it alone? Why did he interfere? He should have just left it
What
alone.
do you
He
mean
probably
interfere?
felt
As a citizen, he said and
he,
pushed the lady to the ground. He
yeah,
didn't
you
try
can
to get
protest. You can protest. There's nothing
us up.
wrong with that.
But all right, you
But
can
stay your
protest.
ground.
You can protest, and in that protest, you're saying the law enforcers are supposed to be able to push you down and do what they want to. And you're not supposed to even help each other up. He wasn't even supposed to go there and help that lady to try to get up off of the ground. Is that what you're saying?
He went there and he confronted those ICE agents there, and it escalated from there. Okay, that's what happened. Then they tackled him, and there was a struggle. Somebody said he has a gun. The gun was taken away,
Right. Then he was
and
shot.
and and
Then
then
he
the
was
shots
shot
went off.
after the
Yeah,
gun
but
was
did the
taken
other
away.
agents know the gun was taken away? All they heard was he has a gun. I
Right.
don't know. You
You
weren't there.
mean
I wasn't there.
wait
Let's
a minute,
wait for
but
the
we were
investigation.
both watching the video. Jeremy, you saw it
Yes, but you
also.
don't know what's going through everybody's mind at the scene. You're not there.
Do
Look,
you really
did
have
you
to know
cover the
all of
riots
that?
in Belize? Did you cover the riots in Belize?
Yes.
I saw the riots in Belize. I
Yes.
saw, I was close up right there. And the protesters wanted an argument. They wanted confrontation. Okay, Jeffries, Crispin Jeffries, made his line at Independence Hill, and the crowd would stone and would throw bottles, rocks, and they put their shields up and they stayed there. And then it calmed down, and then it started again. They want confrontation. They want a scene to
But
occur.
isn't that what the
Just like the
protest?
riot at Albert
So wait,
Street.
what?
That's how that happened.
How are protesters supposed to act, son? You mean like they act on
Okay,
January the
you
6th?
don't
Is that
agree with what ICE is
they were
doing.
protesting on January the 6th? Is that how they're supposed to act? Did you see that?
Yes, I saw it. Yes. What
And
you
was
want me?
that
You want me to say? Oh, I agree with that. No, I don't. No, I don't. Why should I agree that they stormed? They stormed the Capitol. No, that's wrong. I told you they had guns. That was illegal. That's not illegal. They can carry their guns, but
so
I don't
how do you
believe in
feel
that.
about Trump pardoning all those people who were arrested and
Why he do that?
convicted?
I have no. I can't defend him. I can't. I just can't. Why would he do
It
that?
might be his
There's a
game
lot of
plan.
things that he does that I can't defend. No.
But can't
But
we
the
say,
policies of I support the policies of the Republican Party when it comes to immigration. Okay,
but
is
what,
there anything wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that?
but
Well,
Mr. Spooner, what is the difference between the policy of the Republicans and the policy of the Democrats when it comes to immigration? What's the
The
difference?
Democrats can let everybody into the country illegally, and there's no uproar about it. The
No,
Republicans
that's
try
not
to
true.
stop it. There's a big roar about it.
No, that's not true. That's not
Yes,
true.
that is true.
Oh, that is not the
Since
difference.
from day one that Trump has
No,
been in power,
that,
every day
that's
there are
yeah. Go
protests.
ahead.
but that's not the difference now. You know what is the difference, Mr. Spooner? The difference
Mhm.
is that when you have a discretion to exercise, a discretion as to whether you will grant asylum, there is where you could have differences. That the Democrats might be more lenient, they may be more humanitarian in allowing people to come in, but in accordance with the law. The
And let them
Republicans,
go.
right, the Republicans have a tendency, especially if it is black people, and I'm saying this because that's what Trump is doing. He can bring the white people from South Africa, and that's okay.
How
But
many
don't
did he
let,
bring from South Africa? Pittance.
We don't know. We really don't.
Compared to
We
the
really
millions
don't
that came
know.
from
you
Latin
know how many
America.
came? No, you know how many came? How many came? everybody that wanted to come, everybody,
60 came.
right?
60 came.
Everybody that wanted
You
to
know how
come.
many came from Latin America? Millions.
No, you know why millions came from Latin America? Why?
Because they want the American dream.
No, the Americans, under that same Monroe Doctrine, abused those countries and made them
destabilize their governments. Yeah.
destabilize them. That's right, and that's why they had to flee to go to the greener pasture. And many of them did that. Belizeans did it.
So America put things in place in Belize to abuse our people, so they left Belize and went to America. Okay.
No. You're being ridiculous.
Oh, that's
Jack.
what you just said. That's what you just said.
But see,
the Republicans and the Democrats are, both of them are upholding the law. The issue with laws is that there are laws that you can exercise discretion with. And when it comes to the discretion, the Democrats are more humanitarian towards immigrants.
but even so, do you know that Obama deported more people than Trump, even with all the numbers that he's been deporting? And Obama
so did Clinton,
actually, so did Clinton, and those were Democrats. But now, see, to suggest that, it sounds to me, and I'm hearing Trump in you, in that when he's saying that, oh, Venezuela emptied their prison and dumped all their people on us, and they opened the border and just let everybody in. That is absolutely not true. That is not. Who do you think anybody could just go to that border and walk over? That's not true.
And do you have proof? Okay, do you have proof that Venezuela didn't do that? Where's your proof that they didn't do that?
Hold on. Where's your proof that they did?
And
how
Trump,
would they
Trump
do?
Said they did. Trump said they did. But you're saying that they didn't.
Yeah.
But you're saying that they didn't.
No, not Trump. You.
So how you know? Did Cuba let
you
go
and
a lot
Trump
of
said that's
criminals?
2 against 1. You're right.
Did Cuba let out a lot of immigrants? Remember Al Pacino in that movie? Okay, when all the Cubans came over, all the mentally ill, all the criminals.
Yeah, do you know that Hollywood portrays a lot of things that aren't true?
Yes, I know.
To get people like you to believe that.
Go behind the movie. The movie takes facts and they make a movie out of it. Okay, it's fictional, but they do have something that they base their movies on.
It's funny because it was Lois Young that told me one time. He said every lie is predicated on a truth. There's some truth, and that's what you were saying. There's some truth in it, but the lie overwhelms it. And why?
I just want you to prove to me that Venezuela did not send any criminals over to Belize. I mean,
how would that be done? How is that done?
I want to know because that's what you keep saying.
Now give me an idea how that would be done. Because Venezuela is quite a ways from the U.S. They're not like next door, like Mexico or Canada. They're quite a way. How would that be done? Venezuela would just then open their prisons and give people. And when they get to America, how can they get into America? Because there's no entry point to America where you don't need to show documents. There are people who show visitors visas and stay over the time allotted to them. And I believe that is where a lot of the illegal aliens are.
Why don't people immigrate to South America? Why they came to North America? Why don't they go to India? Why don't they go to China? Why don't they go to Russia?
Africa.
Why don't they go to Africa? Exactly. Why don't they go?
But I will answer that question for you. For sure, I can answer that.
Probably don't answer for that one.
No, I have an answer for that. But let me finish with the one that you were saying just now. When the chairman asked you, tell us how did these countries aided and abetted prisoners to get to America? Tell me how they did it.
I don't know how they did it.
Then how you know
this is what the American. But just like you all don't know if they weren't sent. You all don't know. You're going to say that it's not true.
Let me tell you how I would do it. If I want my criminals in jails to get to America and I want to aid and abet it, I would make sure I get a transport to help to get them there. That's how I would do it. But I would not just let them out of the jail and tell them, no, hurry, go to the border and go to America. That's not what they would do.
That makes no sense. That is ridiculous. But you know,
letting out prisoners to go to America.
Jeremy, you smiled when you said it, but you said that you believe because Trump said it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was
that,
true.
that
I just smile when I did that. Yeah, just throwing that back at you. That's all.
I figure that. I know. But you see, I was trying to defend my friend Spooner to try to convince the chairman that he's not what you think a MAGA person. I thought he's more liberal than.
but what do you think now after all of that? What do you think now?
I am beginning to have a second thought.
I
I
don't
just
think
not
it,
be, I don't I just believe. Look, for me to go to America, I had to go through the process. You talk to a lot of immigrants in America that went through the process. They're upset that these people come through like that. But I also believe in America. Huh?
you're putting your finger on something there though.
What did I
You
put my finger on?
because you went through the proper process,
That's the
you're
way you do
upset.
it.
You're upset
That's
that
the way you
somebody.
do it.
You're upset that somebody went and didn't go through that process.
I said a lot of immigrants are upset. Did I say I'm upset?
Oh,
I said a
you're
lot
not
of
upset.
Americans
So,
are upset. A
you're
lot
not
of
upset.
immigrants are upset. But I say that I went through the process. They can go through the process too.
Right, so you're upset too.
So why not? Why not?
Well, why not
What's
say?
wrong with that?
Why
Do you
not
think
say?
that do you
Why
think it's
not
right to
say?
go to another country illegally? Do you think it's right?
Well, I did.
Do you think it's right? I want to know. Do you think it's right
It's not
for
right, but
people to go
sometimes
to
it's
another country
necessary.
illegally?
You know what? But if you want to get to that, let's go for philosophical then, because we
Don't
live
try to
on
change
one.
the subject. I'm asking you a
No, it's not.
question.
It's the
Do
same
you
subject.
believe that it is okay to go to another country, enter their country illegally, and live there?
Maybe
And when you
only.
get caught, that you
But
make a
if
big
you're
fuss
shut
that
up,
you're
I
being
might say
deported.
something. If you're shut up, I say something.
Okay, well, just answer me.
Maybe
Answer
it's
me.
all right if I'm taken on a ship in chains, right? And then kept over there in chains and lynched and murdered. That maybe it's okay then.
Don't bring that in, please. Don't bring that. Let's
Of
talk
course, you'd
about
like to
today.
forget that. You'd like for
No,
us
I'm
to
not
forget
trying to
that.
forget. No, G Mike, well, then it don't make sense I talk to you about anything, because I'm trying to ask you, do you think, is it fine with you for people to enter a country? Do you like, okay, let's bring it home to Belize. Do you think that are you happy? You are
I want-
complaining about all these school kids coming into to
I
Belize and
didn't. I didn't. I have no
You weren't
problem with
too
it.
happy
No,
about that.
don't
You
say that.
weren't happy.
Let
But
me
let me
correct
ask you
you.
something.
You're lying. You're
Let me
lying.
ask you something.
You
Let me
are
ask you
lying.
something.
No, don't run past that. Let us
All
clear that up. I didn't. In fact, I had no problem with that, and I was against people who were condemning that, because when you talk about children, and as a matter of fact,
I want to go back to asking you the question. I
Yes.
want to know if it's okay with G. Michael Reed, okay, a law-abiding citizen of Belize, PR, who used to work in the police department, who was protecting the police with your PR and so on,
good
no
looking,
law and
used to
disorder
be
and all of that.
Catholic.
Do you approve of people going to America illegally and living there? Do you approve of that?
There are times when it's warranted.
Let me,
I'm just asking you. I just want
There
to
are
know your
times when it's
thoughts.
warranted. There are times when it's warranted.
Mr. Spooner, let me give you an answer for that one from me.
Okay, from you. I'd be interested to hear your take
It's
on
so
that.
hyperbolic at first. A man that is dying from hunger and saw food, and a food that he has to steal, he will steal it. Now, let's come back now from the hyperbole to the reality. A person who is looking indeed for the greener pasture because he wants a better life, he will do something that is illegal, which is to get into America without going through the legal process. And that to me will not make it right legally, but it will mitigate the penalty. So I would say that under circumstances where there is a humanitarian need, and you need to satisfy the humanitarian need, but you may have to break the law, I would think that when you're brought to justice, either by God or by man, it will be a mitigating factor. So the issue of why they don't go to India and Africa, because they have no boats to go on. They cannot swim and they cannot walk and they cannot drive. That's
Well,
why
if they could get boats to go from France to the UK, they could get boats to go to Africa if they want, or India or whatever.
So you'd rather they go everywhere except America. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm just wondering why they go to America. What, you know?
Because it's obvious they cannot go to India, and maybe
I
India.
understand there's that part there, but I'm sure it's what America offers them.
If
And the
India,
Democrats in power giving them everything.
that's not the reason. If India was as prosperous, or Africa or any other country on that side, as the United States, they wouldn't go because it's not practical for them to go. Now, America, evidently, in the North American countries and the South American countries, is the most prosperous, not only in this part of the world, but in the whole world.
And that's a feather in the cap. That's not condemnation. That's something good.
No, but it's
But they could have come to Belize. Why didn't they come to Belize? We're a good country.
I will answer that right now. That's what I'm trying to rationalize. You gravitate to the country where you believe there is a greener pasture and a better life for you. Let's use Belize now.
A lot of immigrants come to Belize.
Exactly. That's why I'm coming to Belize now. During the Civil War in Central America, mainly in Nicaragua and Salvador, Honduras to a lesser extent, you know why so many of them came to Belize? Because of the Civil War. And Belize was a better place for them. And we had to get amnesty for about 50,000. Of course, the United Nations helped us with it.
But Joe,
and
after the American Civil War, there are a lot of Confederates that came to Belize. Did you know that, Jerry?
That's a fact.
Yeah. Well, yes, they do. They brought sugar cane to Belize. That's where the sugar cane.
Oh, no, you don't know what they came and brought something to Belize. That's what you're saying.
Well, look, man, don't look into that way. I'm just trying to let you know that I know about them. Okay.
It's a historical fact. Many of them who came went to Toledo. So if you look at it, sugarcane started in Toledo, not in the north.
That's right.
So the south was the resident for sugarcane brought by those people because they were. I know some of them were still around their grandchildren when I was down there.
Yeah. And then, in fact, they did an interview the other day on one of the channel, I think Channel 7, and the descendants of some of these Confederates.
The point is that they come, like the chairman is saying, they came to Belize because they were looking for a better place. So that's what the reality of the world, the human beings, people tend to gravitate towards their life.
I find it very mean-spirited, Jeremy, and disappointing that you would look at that way. You have people that are doing impoverished, doing badly, and many of them are doing badly because the same country that they're running to implemented policies in their country that make it difficult for them to live there in that country. So they go there. I think that poetic justice to me. So I think.
Do you know that a lot of these undocumented people are exploited by America? I've been watching documentaries on it. Do you know that they're exploited?
In what way?
And I'd like to come back to that, Mr. Chairman.
They don't get paid.
No, but before we come to that, can you allow me to go back? Make we try to see if we can follow this pattern. Let's go back to America. The people that came to America to displace the Indians came from a country where they were being oppressed, religiously and politically. That's why they came. They fled from oppression in Europe, and they came to America because they felt that is where they get freedom. Unfortunately, when the others came who were colonizers, when the colonizers came, they came and they killed out the Indians. That's what they were doing.
They oppressed the people,
Many of the immigrants that came to America came from because of what was happening to where they were. If you look at Australia, well, of course, they gone against their will. But Britain was using Australia to put its prisoners. That's why Australia became so much because it was the same prisoners that made Australia when they actually take over from the indigenous people. And that's why Australia today is
the same kind of killing and genocide that's happening now.
So how come they came from Europe in boats? How come they can't go from boats to the other countries? I mean, how did the Europeans were able to come by boats, but the other crowd can't get boats to go to the other places?
Because they had the boats.
Why did they make boats?
They were making boats. They came to America in boats.
Yeah.
The only point I think we should try to agree on, and I believe indeed that you cannot be mean-spirited. We all have to. You have the United Nations Humanitarian Convention, and I believe we should all accept that countries, especially those who seems to be a bit farther ahead, should expect that others will want to come to their country, and they do provide for it, except that they will have their limitation. If you look at Switzerland right now, Switzerland population is likely. In fact, what they have to do, they have to cap it. They are capping it simply because the fertility has gone down. And some of them are getting minus growth. The elders are dying out, but the fertility rate is low. So to me, it's true that we end up, after years of colonialism, we are countries now, 190 sovereign countries in the world. Apart from, there was a time we only had 3 or 4 countries. Now we had 190. But it's the humanitarian spirit in us that we entertain other people to come to a country. That's why we have these policies for immigration.
Yeah, I understand, and that's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful America lets in all these people, but it cannot take in everybody. So it has an immigration policy. You have to have an immigration policy.
Of
You
course,
also have to
every
look at the
country
domestic.
does.
You have to look at the domestic culture. If you have everybody from the world coming into America, you're going to change the whole cultural dynamics of the country.
And-
Maybe that is what people are worried about in America. Maybe
And,
that's why there is the pushback. That's understandable. It's happened here in Belize. The Creole are not too happy with all the Latinos coming into Belize. Is it wrong for them to feel that way? No, it's not wrong for them to feel that way.
It would be wrong for us to try to gather all of them, though, and just to do a blanket thing and throw them all out.
Well, we haven't got that kind of illegal immigration into Belize like what America has been getting. Okay,
But
America welcomes these people, G. Mike. America
you-
welcomes these people, but you
Uh-huh.
got to do it organized. You just can't just break through the border. Do you see those caravans that were going into America? It was unbelievable how many people got into America. I'm just saying,
and
America has
Biden-
always opened her arms to
You
foreigners.
really believe that Biden has just opened the borders and let everybody in? Is that it?
Well, why? Well, he wasn't enforcing the borders. That's how they all got in, right? Isn't that the way? How come Trump stopped it? Why couldn't Biden stop it like that?
The reality indeed is that Biden was more considerate than Trump. No, we have to
Biden
ask.
is humanitarian.
So they probably wanted all these people into the country so they could vote for the Democrats. That's why they probably did it.
No, I
And
don't.
so how come Trump won?
I,
That's how they probably did it.
I may be wrong on this.
Democrats don't care. Democrats are socialists. They want to give everything to
I
everybody.
may be wrong on this one.
And you don't agree
Am
with
I
that?
wrong on what? Wrong on what?
I may be wrong on this one, but when I look
Yeah.
at the history of Trump, long before he ever reached where he was in fact, I almost want to call it a hater of black people. He did not
But
want.
he helped Reverend Jesse Jackson. I mean, he's helped a lot of black people.
Can't we come back to the reality? The reality
Okay.
is that he was taken to court and convicted because he forbid black people to occupy his apartments. That's a fact.
That was
No.
his father. That was his father.
No,
And then-
No, that was
and then
Donald Trump.
they got a Jewish lawyer to get him off. Yeah. You remember that?
No, but I don't have to read the book, The Art of the Deal. It's right in there
Yeah.
with him. The Art of the Deal. It was right in there. I'm
Yeah.
saying to you, what I see with Trump, why you believe that the white supremacists under Trump became so bold to manifest themselves clearly, like the Ku Klux Klan and them, is because they saw Trump as the person who will protect the white supremacists. Ask yourself
The
the question.
Republican Party, yes, I would say that most Ku Klux Klan are Republicans. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's try
And
to
also Republicans are very religious, and a lot of those Ku Klux Klan people are very religious, aren't they? They don't like Catholics, but a lot of them are evangelists, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but yeah, I would agree too. Yeah, but the Ku Klux Klan, if
Let's
they're
try
still
to-
alive and big in America, I know there's some groups, but it's not like it used to be. But yes, I would say that they would be Republicans as opposed to being
try
you know,
to
just like communists are left or Democrats.
Let's try to
Yeah.
rationalize it. We're not going back now to the days of when the the Native Americans were there. Because America shifted from Native Americans to Caucasians, majority Caucasians. No. Given the period when they became dominant in the country, do you believe that they would have wanted a change where the blacks, and especially blacks, and to a lesser extent the Hispanics, do you believe that they would have wanted to see they become a minority when they were a majority? Let's put aside the issue of racism, if we can.
I didn't understand your question. I don't
Let's put it
understand.
this way. Let's put it this way. A country with a dominant certain pigment, let's call it It could be black.
The white culture. Okay, dominant white culture. That's all right. Just say it. Dominant white culture.
And it could be dominant black culture. So if you want to use black, we can use black. 80% of the country are black. Do you think that country would like to see down the road when it is to change that one day they become the minority?
No, no country will want that.
Exactly. So therefore, it is the white now that have the majority, is it wrong for them not to want the blacks to become the majority?
I don't understand that either.
You mean is it wrong for the white culture to be concerned about blacks or people of color becoming the majority? Is that what you're asking me?
You know what I'm trying to get over here?
Yeah.
There is something in all of us, gentlemen, that if it was 80% blacks, they would not want to see their country being subverted, and one day they become the minority.
I totally agree with you. I've always said that. I've said that this is a pushback by white America. They are an endangered species.
No, the difference between not wanting and the difference between seeing them as inferior, that's different. If you say to yourself, and it's difficult to rationalize religiously, but if you are dominantly black, I don't think it is easy for one to begin to accept that we want to allow this country to go the other way. So just as the blacks would not want it, there was a time in America during the black period when blacks were trying to out-black blacks, and some blacks didn't like blacks. Yeah. So when we talk about, when I say whites begin to treat blacks or blacks treat whites as inferior, as if though they are less than humans, that is when I object to. But for you,
and I would agree with you on that. Agree with you on that. I'm not for that.
So I know they jump to the thing that why we really want a melting pot. A lot of people don't want no melting pot. Then you look at the European countries, most of them.
It's not working in Europe. Yeah.
You think China could have ever become predominantly black Africans? Impossible.
Never. They would not allow it. Japan wouldn't allow it. Denmark wouldn't allow it. Korea wouldn't allow it. Many countries in the world wouldn't allow it. And that's what's happening with Europe. I think maybe it could be a guilt complex from back in the colonial days, but they're letting a lot of people. But now white Europeans are pushing back. They're seeing they see they're in their eyes they're losing their country. That's what they're seeing. So these people are being accommodated.
So what were the blacks saying during the Black Power movement? You know what was one of the slogans, or it was more than a slogan? Back to Africa. They were beginning to say, "Let them go back to Africa."
But they'll never go back to Africa. They're different people. Yeah, they're different people.
I'm not saying that they.
No, I know.
Saying that they were clamoring to go back to Africa. They felt that they should go back to where their people are.
But that wouldn't work.
Well, it wouldn't work.
Well, it worked in Liberia.
Perhaps, yeah.
No, that's a disaster. That's a disaster what happened there.
There's an old saying, variety is the spice of life.
But you still don't answer my question.
What question? Why would you? Why? But
I want to know from Constable.
Jeremy Spooner. Jeremy Spooner. Ask me the question.
I want a binary answer. I want yes or no.
No. What do you think? You got me in a court of law? That's not that. You don't get no binary. Are you kidding me? You asking me if it's okay for people to go in the country illegally? And I told you it depends on the condition. There are times when
forget the bloody condition. Do you believe that
how you okay forget? How the hell you want to forget conditions? You can't.
No, man, because
there are always circumstances. You can't forget circumstances. There are always circumstances. Every law has exceptions.
So I kill my husband because he abuse me. That's okay.
What? That who abuse him?
You're saying that they have excuses why they're breaking the law and going into America. So we can say a lot of things in our life with our laws that I did this because of this, and that's why I should not be guilty. I should not be prosecuted. I should not do jail time.
You're murking the water. You're
I'm
not
not
really.
murking the waters. You just said that where's my human kindness or whatever? These people come into America illegally because of situations in their country. So I'm saying
Right.
to you, there are situations around the world where people kill other people, and then you want to make excuses for them not to be prosecuted because of that. It's
How
the
do we
same thing.
get?
I'm not worrying
Yeah.
about humankind. I'm not worrying about anything. If America has an asylum program, you join on to the asylum program. And a lot of people did. I know some people who worked for me who are in America right now who claim that their life was threatened because of the gangs and they got asylum.
Right.
But there is a process. Okay, you hold them. They hold them in the. This person was held in a detention center. They got a lawyer. They got affidavits, and a court case was done, and the person was allowed to stay in America. There is a process. Yes, I understand
Well,
that sometimes process. Sorry, John.
I don't think we are differing.
No,
If you
Not
but
on
I
that
just want
point.
you like to tell me. Does
hold
forget
No,
about.
but
on, if you enter the United States illegally, you violate the U.S. law. That's a fact.
Yes.
You violate the law. You do. So we cannot say it's all right for you to violate the law. No,
Well, that's what G Mike is saying.
no, it's not what I'm saying.
I don't think
You,
You're
it's
saying
what
that
you.
circumstances where it's
No,
not
I
okay.
you want me to answer the question how you want me to answer
I
it.
finish what he said.
No.
But I tell you why I understand me the same. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm saying to you, he's not saying that it is all right for you to go into the US, violate the law, and it's okay. No, I think he's saying there are circumstances where the violation could be considered as a humanitarian act.
Exactly what I'm saying.
But I think
And
he's saying.
that answers his question.
And how many of them
I'm
are
sorry, I have to
all of
stand here
them?
because yeah.
And all of them are for the humanitarian acts. All the 15 million.
No,
20
and
million,
all of them
20
that
million?
Trump are throwing out are ones who went in there and were illegal.
This
Really?
lady says, "Spoons, you sound MAGA."
Yeah. So
I don't
no,
know who Sonia Allen is. I'm not MAGA, but I believe in immigration laws. I believe it for Belize.
But who don't?
I'm an,
Who don't
I was an
believe
immigrant to
all right,
America.
all right. Let's
immigration laws? Other countries have them. That's why they have them, because they believe in them.
let's
But
get
also
past
that-
that. Let's get past that now because
I think we have exhausted.
you and that are one of the reasons that you say you like what Trump is doing and you support
I
some
like
of the
what the
things that.
Republicans are doing. I like what their
Right.
administration
What
is
apart
doing.
from
Yeah.
that, what else is there that you think they're doing that makes them a worthy government?
Inflation has gone down, prices have gone down, but of
What?
course you guys are
What?
going to
Have
say
you
that is
spoken
not
to
true.
anybody in America or just Trump? Is Trump the only one you've listened to from
Put it away
America?
to that.
I
Are you
listen to all of them, but of
Are
course,
you
one
crazy?
side will say no, and the other side will say,
No,
so
no,
you know what?
no.
Screw everything that is said out there.
all
Screw
the
everything that
indicators,
is said out there.
all
You need
the
to turn off Fox News,
all
boy.
the economic indicators are showing it is not true. It is
Of
not
course. Do you?
That is why some of the Republicans who are up for elections, especially in the Senate, because all of them will be up for election. That is why some of them are beginning to distance themselves from him, because he's doing and saying things which they know will not be receptive to their voters. He's not. His signature. Remember, his signature offer was the economy and immigration, and the two of them he's failing on.
Jeremy, I'll give you credit. I give you credit for at least you speak out and you speak your mind. But I think you need to reevaluate some of those principles that
I'm
you
just trying
hold
to
on
argue
to.
against what you guys are telling me, and I'm trying to, that's all.
I think I'm the other way around. I'm thinking that we try to argue against what you're telling us, which is simply what I hear Trump. The same thing I hear Trump is saying, and I don't. Again, initially, I was hoping that Trump would not be this bad and the American system in place would keep him in check. I was hoping the guardrails would be there, the checks and balances would be there, that he could not get away with all that he's doing. What he's doing with ICE, turning the military loose on the American people and the streets of the U.S. is ridiculous. And the Americans are turning against it. Did you see a No King's Day protest that they had in just about every U.S. city? Millions and millions marching out there. I wonder why.
Mr. Spooner, it's a
Yes,
fact.
I'm looking.
It's a fact that Trump is losing in America. It's a fact that Trump is losing globally. Trump is losing allies. He's losing countries that are friendly. Canada, Mexico, the European Union. Look how many countries are beginning to go against him. And then still he's getting what? If he is rated at 37, 37, is there something wrong with the polling? Is there something wrong with Mexico? Something wrong with Canada? Something wrong with Brazil? Something wrong with the NATO allies? All of them wrong? And only Trump is right? No, Mr. Spooner. The belt
Let
is
me, Jeremy, how you feel about the Epstein files? Do you believe there's some truth to it?
I think anybody that's involved in that should be prosecuted. Yeah.
How about if Trump
Anybody
is?
caught with an underage girl should be prosecuted. Yeah.
How if
Just like
Trump
they
is in
did to
that?
Prince Andrew.
How
Just like they
about
did to
if
Prince
Donald
Andrew.
Trump is in that list, in that
Even
crowd?
if I know what you would like me to say, but I won't say that because I don't believe in that. I think that if he's found to have been molesting little young girls, underage girls, charge your ass. I don't got no problem with that. No
Well,
problem with that.
that
You
I
hear me?
want,
No problem with that. I got no problem with that.
that I'm aware, I'm a want to hear you say, but I don't know what you think I'm a want to hear you say where no one say.
Well, of course, you'd want to.
That might that's the part that you need to speak out loud.
I'm
That's
sure
the,
I'm sure that you'd want me to support him on that, and I can't support him on that. No way.
but
But
no, but
they
really,
should bring the proof. They should bring the proof. And I'll be happy to read it and see it. You know, they should bring it up. They
you
should open
mean
it up.
you mean and take out all the redactions so that we see who the names really are.
Well, I don't know why they did that. Maybe they did that to protect certain people, but no, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have blocked it out. No, I don't. I totally agree.
And you
Show
know
them as
what?
they are.
I
Show
tell
them as
you,
they are.
I tell you what I think. I believe that this will be his Waterloo. This will bring him down because people, children, don't want red line. You don't mess with children because everybody have
No.
children and everybody were once children. So
Yeah.
we know what we were and how vulnerable we were. We know that grown-ups that are adults should be protecting children and not taking advantage of them.
Totally
Some of the
agree.
stories again that I'm hearing are sick. And maybe that's why they won't let it out because the American people would be appalled. The world would be appalled more than they are already to
I
know
think
that
you'll find
these,
Republicans and Democrats in that group of people that were involved with Epstein. He seemed to be pretty wide reaching everywhere.
yeah, the rich people. Because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I don't even think and Joe had asked a question about the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. And I don't know that there's much of a difference at all. I think the only difference that we have in this world on a whole is the haves and the have-nots. And it is not that the illegal immigrants that they want to put out, is the ones that don't have anything that, as you're saying, they're leeching upon the welfare system. And that is the problem, isn't it? That they
No,
want, can you
I'm
say,
about breaking. I'm about breaking the law. That's what I am about. Okay, that's where I draw the line there. You go through the process. That's where I am there. You want asylum, you apply for asylum. Okay, that's where I am at.
Well, I think, well, I hope that everybody is on board with the rule of law. But I support the rule of law is that we should anyhow, we should.
uh,
Well, that's where I am. Rule of law, due process.
I think
You
that there
can,
is,
but you
I'm
can.
glad,
I guess in some.
I'm glad you use that word due process because I've been thinking about due process for some time. I've also been thinking, Joe, about the Monroe Doctrine, and we have to talk about that at length at some point. I've been trying to go through it because I'm a very lengthy document and with a lot of convoluting terms. But due process, they have a couple of boats sailing from Venezuela supposed to have be trafficking drugs. That's what they said. Where's the due process when you just bomb those boats, and even when there are two people clinging and and re-bomb again to make sure they're dead? Where was the due process in that? Where's the due process when those two people that were killed, and you said one guy was killed because he took a gun to the to the protest. Where was the due
Two guys
process?
were killed. He shot two guys and injured one. Yeah.
Where was that the due process for those people? Let me first welcome Gregory to the show. Gregory, thanks for showing up. How you doing?
Good, thank you very much. Sorry I'm late. I got stuck in traffic here.
I know how it is. That traffic out there, crueling. Why we're getting like that in Belize. Have you, Joe? Have you tried to drive around the city? And I guess Spooner, you check it out, you know, anytime around when schools let out, there's so many that the traffic that won't crawl.
No, I
Yeah.
deliberately try not to do it unless I have to, because it is a problem in the morning coming
Oh
down
man,
to the city.
crazy, crazy. If you want to get somewhere at 8 o'clock, you better not leave before after 7. So
Well, Love FM was talking about the traffic, and I wanted to call in and mention something to them. Um, One of the problems that causes a lot of this traffic jams too is cars parked on the entrance to Belize. From I think from Benny's, not from Benny's, from the road the roundabout by the Mexican little market there. There's a lot of cars where buildings are going up and they take up most of the lot, and there's no parking for any of their customers. I think that what they should do enforce the building codes. That's one thing, and the second thing is maybe have between 6 and 9, no car should be allowed to park on the highway to allow free flow of traffic. That was my two suggestions. But
uh,
it is terrible.
well, that kind of black one of the lanes you're saying that they
Yes,
usually.
exactly. They
Yeah,
block one of the
I've
lanes.
seen that, and in fact, the other day I went to the immigration department, which is on the Philip Wilson Highway, and cars. I was looking for somewhere to park on one side, I couldn't, but on the other side, and that exactly what you were talking about, cars were parked. So I parked there too, and yet it crossed my mind that they should not allow it to be done. But I think
You look at
the bigger problem with that are the schools. When they let out and people drop off their children, they must find a way where and they are the biggest ones, SJC, um, Belize Elementary. Those are the people that usually have
Holy
cars.
Redeemer North Front Street too. That's
Holy Redeemer
terrible.
too. But see, there's a canal that runs right through Holy Redeemer, and it comes all the way up from Barracks Road. And
Yeah.
they had covered a part of Barracks Road for a little while, and cars were able to drive on it. Why don't they do that? And I've been screaming this for years. Do that by Holy Redeemer so people can drive in from Heights Lane, pick up their children, and then drive through.
Yeah.
Um, that would make perfect sense. Belize Elementary can do it. Drive around to Mercy Lane, come around and pick up their kids. Uh,
Well,
uh,
also
uh,
with Holy Redeemer, you had that parking lot on the right hand side, but nobody would park in there. They prefer they want they would prefer to drive right up to where the pedestrian crosswalk is, and the kid is waiting there. They stop their car and they let the kid in the car, and then they drive off. But they will not go to the right hand side where there's tons of parking space. I don't know if they was being charged or anything like that, but they had a barrier that goes up and down and a security there, but maybe they charge and nobody wants to pay for it. But
is
I
that
know,
the one that used to be for Save
yes, the one right next to Savior, and then there's more parking space
or
there
Batangala? No,
because
no.
I know I would get caught if I would run late. I would get caught going to my cafe around about 7:45. You can't get through there, and
I
then
have
again at 3 o'clock.
I will have to leave short, Mr. Chairman, but I have a suggestion for the mayor and for the traffic department, the national, which work with with the local. They need to bring in as quickly as possible a traffic engineer to re-engineer the city. The reality is that the city is not growing in terms of geographical size, but the numbers are growing that are using the city. A good amount of people now are living in what we could call the suburbs, right? Like in Hattieville, Ladyville, and that way there.
Wouldn't be funny. Bill me funny if it was the illegal immigrants that was doing it. But go ahead. Let me finish the thought.
Okay. So what I think we need to do is that you have to look at, you see, Belize is not building, we are not building higher buildings. Some places you find, they wanted to do one right by the Treasury building there in that open space, where you build parking areas too. But the issue is that the amount of traffic coming into the city, because the kind of services that being provided here and not being provided in those areas. The schools, for example, the level of the schools, some of the shopping centers now are more up there. They are moving up on the road. But some of the most, especially schools is the main one. Albert Street is not really much of a shopping center as it used to be. Much of it has moved up now into Coney Drive and on the highway. So to me, it looked like the demand is happening because of the schools, that most of them are in the city.
Primarily, I think, yeah.
So you just need an engineer
And one more thing, checkpoints
yeah,
are the most inconvenient times and
Exactly.
places.
That's a height of stupidity.
But you know what? You have to understand. You have to understand how much tax the government gets off of each gallon of fuel. You know, so when you sit down there and wait for go, I don't think there's been much a hurry to fix this situation. I hate to say it, and I think it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate I have to leave you with that cynicism, but I will not allow it to pass.
I know it. I'm really want to come to that. But
I don't think that the government is doing it simply because of the revenue from.
I hear you.
Let me tell you why. Someone said it one time. You realize that when it comes to the foreign exchange, fuel is the number one draw, and when it comes to revenue, it is the number one. Now, you are telling me that they will be prepared to benefit from any increase, which I don't see they're getting, and cause the citizens.
What do you mean, not getting? They are getting, Joe. They get $7 off a gallon in tax.
I can give you the breakdown at the pump exactly what the government gets for the customs duty, for the GST, for the revenue. We worked that out already. I don't think it's that why the situation is allowed to be the way it is. I think it's allowed to be the way it is because we lack leadership. That's what.
Well, tell me something. Why did they? Do you know that if you're coming off of like the George Price Highway and want to go to Broadus? In fact, I went to Mejia's and Philip Wilson to come out of there and come back to town. You have to go up almost to Ladyville and come back down. You know.
That's what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman.
Why?
Now, what is happening to us? You have, and the gentleman is here he's the engineer. You have all kinds of engineers. No, you have the civil engineers that I think they are civil engineers that build the streets. But when it comes to the engineering of traffic, you need traffic engineers. We need a traffic engineer. That's why when they run the city, they kind of, we don't call it traffic officers, but they know they can't even. I don't understand why we allow the city to be outgrowing the way without qualified professional people.
You'll get a couple of tickets this week for sure.
They need engineers, my brother.
Yeah. I know police have some urban planners that are in the country, right. and they do work with the city council. And you're right. I don't know why this situation has been allowed to fester to the way it is, that it's now intolerable, and you're spending, like the chairman said, lots of money sitting at the light or sitting.
Your vehicle run, yeah.
Not moving.
There are a number of places where, and I know that Joe told me earlier I had to leave a little early. I almost had to leave a little early myself because I had some terrible cramps there in my leg where I had to stretch out there. But the situation is that I see there only one place that does it. When they put them dividers in the street, they make it where you can't turn and go into a lot of businesses. The only place I see do it at Golden Bay, where they put on curtain and have to go all the way 2-3 blocks and then circle and come back around. But many places you have to. Broadus you have to. Benny's you have to, because if you're going to Benny's, if you're going up, you have to go up and come back down. I don't think the planning was executed with any kind of much common sense. Let me put it that way. I don't want to cast aspersions, but I don't know who did it, or it was a coordinated effort, or they just want to helter-skelter way they had of doing it and it just happened. I don't know. It makes no sense how it is, though.
Yeah, well, traffic management is a tough program to kind of administer, because it has to deal with a lot of things. It has to deal with the peak traffic, and it has to deal with the low traffic period, and try and build out on that some type of efficiency, and
I imagine also you have to look at the convenience too of people. It just should not be factored in.
yeah, well, that is part of it. The flow, to maintain orderly flow, but you have to maintain that flow under all the conditions in which the traffic condition exists, right? When there's peak traffic and when there's slow traffic. And so sometimes it becomes a little inconvenient when you have to see, the streets of Belize are very narrow. That creates a problem. A lot of time you don't have, usually to have good management, you need at least 5 lanes, a turning lane that could share on either side, and 2 moving lanes. And most of the streets in Belize are 2 lane or 3 lane the most.
Well, like Joe rightly said, now the city now grow like that. It grew in a population and the amount of vehicles, but it's not
Yeah.
gonna grow that way. So I don't know what we're gonna do. You
The
miss.
problem, the problem is, if I can say, what Gregory was saying is that in the old Belize, yeah, we can't help the roads being small, narrow, and it cannot accommodate the traffic increase. But the problem is with the housing and planning, and then there's the building planning that approves drawings. And my
Yeah.
father's an architect, and I think your space of your building takes up so much, and then 25% has to be put for parking, but they're not enforcing. We had to fight it where I live in Bella Vista, where people are building all up to the borders of their property,
Mhm.
not allowing for any parking.
Yeah.
Take for instance, Bella Vista has bylaws, and you get people, what you're supposed to do is provide parking for 2 vehicles on your lot, and there are
Mhm.
people who don't do that. So consequently, you got 5 people living in the house, and you got 5 cars outside. And what
Yeah.
happens? The road is not made for parking on either side, because you wouldn't be able to get through. And when you
Yeah.
park on one side, you have to wait till the traffic passes by you before you can go around the car and go on. So these are all of it is enforcement and vision, and
Yes.
and telling people to do what the bylaws say, obeying the law. But people
Yes.
don't want to do that, and they somehow get away with it.
Yeah. And that many times is when the plans go to the building department for review.
Yes.
Somebody
Yeah.
slips somebody an extra $200, and
Oh boy,
they
I'm
get
glad you know the yeah, cause you may get it.
Yeah.
they get
But
they get to build up to the property line. No, I'm
you're
serious.
speaking facts. There's another thing with that I wonder. There's a law, that you're not supposed to build within 66 feet of any waterway. And that has certainly gone out of the window
Yeah.
because people are building right on the shoreline many
Yeah.
times. We see some big buildings up there in Caribbean shores.
Yeah.
Well, in Bella Vista, people have bought land. They call it land by the gallon. They've bought into the sea in
You
front
see,
of their
by the
properties. Yeah,
gallon.
by the gallon, buy land by the gallon. Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I like
so
that.
you can pay big money for a nice piece of property on the seaside, and next thing you know, somebody buy water in front of you, fill
Fill
it
it
up,
up.
and
Yeah,
start
yeah,
building
yeah, yeah.
the house. You know,
Yeah.
I think that was happening
it's
on
all
that
about.
area. Yeah,
Yeah, it happened by Buttonwood Bay. Remember,
right,
there was, I'm
right,
not going to mention
right.
no name, but remember he said, "Mida, so and so," and I could do what I want, but the neighborhood fought him. 3 people I know fought him, and they won, and he wasn't allowed to fill up the land anymore in front of them. But that's
Yeah,
crazy. You buy a
Yeah.
nice piece of property seafront, and next thing you know,
Mhm.
because somebody know a minister or whatever, buys
Yeah.
the water in front of you and fill it up.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
Yeah.
But
but
we
it
do have
happened.
traffic problems. We do have traffic problems in Belize.
But that's what it needs, though, Jeremy. It needs the community to stand up and speak out, as opposed to
Mm,
just mumble it under their breath and talk about it in their little corners and whatnot.
mm,
Speak out, but we're not a people
mm.
that are too readily speak our mind.
But
And
now I'm in trouble because in Bella Vista I speak out a lot and things about because my dad was an architect and he's into bylaws and all of that. And now I got trouble because I'm perceived as a MAGA supporter. So I'm really screwed now.
no, can't mix
So
the two of them. You can't mix the two. That have your MAGA support and not got nothing to do with you speak. Yeah, stop it.
I just decided to protect to fight for Trump because of
That's
I'm
right.
a minority.
You're right.
Yeah.
And nobody else is fighting a Trump. All right.
But you watch it. Win in the midterm elections.
The
It's a
Republicans
silent
are going to win,
majority.
and you're delusional. I don't know where you to drink or to smoke or to eat.
I go against the odds. Against the odds. I always go against the odds.
yeah. Even the hope you're hoping
Yeah.
against that.
Yeah.
No
But
man.
there's a building right now on right now I'm watching it. There's a building right now on the entrance to Belize on the right hand side as you're coming into Belize, and it's after the Rotary. No, it's before the Rotary roundabout. It's a big building and it's taken up, I would say, a lot of percentage of the land. I wonder where all the parking is going to be for that. You know,
Maybe underground. But
well, down the road, Belize is going to have to build a platform above the highway.
well, something has to happen. Yeah, that might be the answer to that.
We see that
That's the only
many
answer.
places. We
Go
see
ahead,
that
Greg.
many places in. Sorry, I said we see that many places in Belize. I think that the typical guideline is that you could only build a building to 2/3 the size of your lot, unless you're going up.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we see a lot
But
of
that's violating a lot, though. And that they're not here to that at all.
that's what I'm saying, and that's why a lot of the plans, either the planning commission, the building department that review the plans, either they are not following the law, but that is the law. Either they are not following the law, or something is going on under the hand that's allowing these people that are building to occupy that higher percentage, because that's the way it should be constructed.
Yeah. I
But
spearheaded
I see people
a
building.
protest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I see people building where their veranda is actually hanging over the street.
Yeah.
I've seen those instances.
I spearheaded in Bella Vista and got support from people. To the entrance of Bella Vista, there's a police booth there, and then there's entrance to enter one side and exit the other side. And it was a commercial building, which they were allowed to because the front lots are commercial. And what the housing and planning approved was that he was allowed to have parking on the exit, to go out of Bella Vista, which meant if any car parked there, nobody could leave exit Bella Vista. So we forced him that he had to provide parking at the front of the building, not on the highway, at the front of the building, that any garbage, and they couldn't park behind the building, which would block off the road at the back to get into Bella Vista, that the rubbish had to be kept at the front, not at the back, and it had to be picked up at the front. And we won, and we got that. And the mayor was very upset with the housing and planning. He said, couldn't you see that this was a problem? You would have congested the entrance into Bella Vista. And we got it. And you have to fight. Belize no want to fight for their rights. I don't know why. But
not everybody could afford to fight for their rights. That is the problem.
It didn't cost us anything, Gregory. It didn't
No,
cost us anything.
but not everybody have the smarts and the time and the capacity to know that something is being done wrong to them, to organize and fight.
More than that, Gregory. Not everybody's going to be listened to. Jeremy,
yes.
you might call and they might talk to you, Jeremy Spooner, and you might get a couple of people up there who are also known. But there are people out there who they want to talk to, who ain't even listen to them. Who ain't even answer their calls.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs, and we're living in it. No, but I understand what you're saying. We do need to speak out more, even if you don't succeed every time.
That's correct.
That's why I like people like Jeremy. Is it the Hernandez? Is his name?
Okay,
I support him. We need more people like that.
We had him on the show one time. I think it was before you, Jeremy. Remember, Gregory?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting fellow. Yeah.
Yeah, we need credible people to take government to task, and that's why I wish there was a watchdog group in Belize that was non-partisan, that could just tackle issues regardless of who's in power. But it's going to be hard in Belize with the population and how we're divided, that we can find a group like that. It has even ACB that I belong to was partisan in the end, which was
I
sad.
I like to see a whistleblowers association laws that allow for that.
Isn't
No,
there a whistleblower act in Belize that is allowed? I think
there
there
is,
is.
I
there is,
don't, there is. You sure,
there,
Gregory?
Yes,
yes,
I
yes,
think
yes,
there
yes,
is.
there is.
But it's not. Wait,
Well, no,
gathering
it's
dust
not well
somewhere
known.
in a closet.
It's same as the ombudsman.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are and who you're complaining against. If you're a UDP and complaining against a PUP, they might listen to you. Vice
Yeah.
versa. If you're a PUP and complaining about UDP, they might. But don't try to complain against somebody who sits in power there like that. No, no, you're not gonna get much. And by the way, that story was suggesting that I did they name Johnny in it? Did you see the story, Gregory, about the that they were talking about Belize being the only
Yes,
speaking
yes, I
country?
saw, I saw, I saw that, I saw that program. Um, Gerber, I think was his name. That he has a podcast
Right.
where they were actually talking about some of the issues. They didn't name any individual minister or politician or individual, but they did. It was quite clear that they were talking about current corruption because they talk about the state bank issue. They spoke about the
BTL issue.
current BTL, and there was some. There were like three hot items
Right,
that
right. Yeah, the other one was port, the
the
port
port.
issue.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I see the BTL workers got their severance pay, Jeremy. Apparently,
Oh,
in
they
that
did.
case,
Oh, wow, I
yeah,
missed that one. Nice
yeah,
one.
yeah, man, they got.
$20,000 each, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I believe they got their money. I don't know how much it was, but they got it for
Well,
sure.
they deserve
Uh,
it. It's in the
well,
law.
well, you see what caused it, right? They got up and spoke out. They had
Yes, you got
protests.
to fight.
Well,
You got to
Oh,
but
fight.
you know what the impetus was for that was the buyout, trying to that
right. I
caused
Yeah,
don't know
everything.
if we may even hear about that if we didn't have that attempt to buy out.
that's right. They were saying that if you could find $180 million for
Correct.
buyout smart, how come you
Yeah,
can't pay us our money? You know?
yeah,
And it
three
seems
million
it seems
dollars or
like
whatever it was. Yeah,
that is on hold, no? What's
yes,
gonna
yes,
happen?
Yeah, it
yes.
looks like it's on hold. Yeah.
I hope after we heard what the deputy prime minister said at the convention on Sunday, I'm hoping that this will die. As I said often, I don't have a problem with the acquisition itself. I just want to make sure that we're paying a fair price for it and we're not overpaying for it because there is some economy of scale, as Mr. Kowe always say, in having one provider. There is some concerns about it in terms of, particularly in the media, because you could lock out particular um, people that sort of going in a position or is not.
Yeah, I see that. But then that's why the Gregory Public Utilities Commission would be the way to go, a credible one, no? On
That's it. That's it.
independent people, and we have to have. I am not convinced, but I have not found them too many independent voices out there. And they're not stay independent for long as long as a
That's the
little.
problem.
Let's look at the ACB.
Yeah.
They were making noise for a while, weren't they, Jeremy?
Yeah, for several years, since
I,
2003 right to
I, I,
2008.
and
5 years.
once they started getting their little, everybody get on these something except you. Wait a minute, might be kind of white them in the pick piano. That's why they
No,
don't like that racism thing, man. Yeah.
no,
But
because it's probably maybe because they can't control me. I think that's the reason why
and
I'm
and and when
independent.
they
So
can't, that's the worst thing for you, boy. God, and everybody turns upon you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
well, it's okay. I did my duty, what I felt I was doing, and I could look anybody in the eye, and I can say that I got out there and I fought, and I paid the consequences. But that's okay. I'm proud of myself.
You
I
know,
go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things I was thinking about as we talk about fighting and difficulties was the comment made by Minister Mala, the Minister of Tourism.
Well, I was getting ready to go there because interesting. And he said politics is tough, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you think you really didn't think that? There was a funny thing because also Dickie Bradley came by the park and stood a while with a chat yesterday evening. And the time that we were there, and I'm looking, and I'm saying, boy, I'm glad I don't know you. I get hit on a lot, but there was a constant stream of people. Mr. Dickey, I want to talk to you. Mr. Dickey, you need for Mr. Wave. And you know, he was there trying to shine them off
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
deal with who he could. But I'm saying, boy, that one tough thing. Imagine being a politician now,
yeah,
where you're getting paid to do that.
yeah,
See,
Yeah.
a private citizen now, you could say, you could shine them or whatnot. A politician no got that option.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I had a friend who was a politician. He didn't need to be a politician to be successful. And he gave up after a while because he had the power to make decisions. And when he made decisions, the higher ups would come back down on him and said, no, 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 get this belly and break here. Get this belly and break here. So
yeah.
he basically said, screw you guys. I had enough. And he quit, you know. So.
A name comes to mind. It might be the same
Yeah, but
person
don't
we're
mention
talking
no
about.
name. I don't want any name. I just mentioned that personal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but we know that happens. We know that it's real. But
Yeah.
I think more importantly too is that he spoke. He said, for example, I just left my office and I had 75 people I had to meet with
Yeah.
and try and provide some service to them. But
Yeah,
what happens? What happens now? We have seen that the act of proposed violence against politicians is moving up in Belize. They're becoming like ordinary threat for the people when they're not getting what they want, whether it's a contract or a license or whatever. We're seeing that they're put in the crosshair of events that's going on, and so it is becoming real for them. And so, particularly if they become corrupt politicians, I think it's going to become real dire for them in terms of trying to survive in this new beliefs that we are seeing that's becoming so vicious, you know.
the
Yeah.
funny thing about it is that while he was saying that on one side and that he's ready to quit and whatnot and thinking about quitting, Shine was on another show calling him the best tourism minister Belize ever had. Did you see that one?
I heard about it. I didn't see it, but
Yeah, Shine seems to be making some waves on the international scene and
you know,
taking Belize with him.
yeah, Shine,
Yeah.
Shine has always been a little powerhouse and a good, strong ambassador for Belize, you know. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of time people say, you Belizean American love Shine more than we in Belize love Shine, you know. But
and that's true. That's true.
yeah,
But see, I don't know. I think there was a smear campaign against Shine, and
oh, of course,
Belizeans it too easily jump in the herd. Once the herd is moving, then just jump in. So, but once they think that this is the popular opinion, yeah, I want to
yeah,
have that too, and I don't want a good thing.
yeah,
You need
Yeah.
to stop and look at the issue because I've been saying for the longest, I think China one of the better politicians that are done well. Now there's a time when he was trying to be Jew and all of that, where I was looking at him kind of sideways, no,
yeah,
but he,
Yeah.
he, he overcame that when
yeah.
came back to Belize and got involved in politics, and I found that he represented himself well.
He,
Uh,
he, he does a good job, and I think he's smart. He's well equipped. He has a little bit of ways about him that puts people off at times, and
but
and he
don't
has
we all? Don't we all, Gregory? Don't we all?
well,
Yeah.
yes, but you know when you
But I guess in
particularly
the public eye, like
yeah,
public, you have to
and
be,
particularly when you want to win the popularity contest, you need to
yeah,
kind of
you have to
right.
cover it up, cover it
Yeah,
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe he's
I
not.
heard I heard a bit of it, the interview on Love FM, and he sounded different. To me, he sounded more professional, and he sounded, I think the stress of being a UDP leader and all the troubles that went on, that is off his back, and now his life has taken a new route, and things are going good for him. And he sounded very
Well,
professional.
yeah, we could look at that two ways. That maybe he did truly sound more professional, or maybe you were more willing because of all the things that have transpired, and maybe that you figure you don't get it just due and had suffered enough, and maybe you listen to him more differently, or closer. Because I think that might be it. I haven't heard that change. I always
Yeah.
heard that potential in him, and it's certain, chip off of the whole block, because Dean Barrow was one of the better orators that we have had. I'm telling you that boy was, when it comes to putting words together, he was a smith.
Yeah.
And I find
No, you're right. You're right. I have always seen Shine in his public behavior as being professional. You know, he have had his issues, but in his public presentation, in his argument in the house, in his
yeah.
in his presentation, he have always appeared to me to be quite capable and quite professional, and like you said, articulate.
What
He
I
stood his
admire,
ground. He stood his ground against
uh,
all the opposition.
he
Yeah.
does. What I admire too is that, yeah, when they come at him, even with the force, he's diplomatic, and and so in that way, I think that there's a bit of arrogance, but then you need that. What do you want with a leader? Somebody shy and afraid, or that's going to give
Yeah,
in to everything.
yeah, yeah,
So I don't know if we don't demand the very things we don't want sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know what Marlon do. I
Well,
I I don't
I
know that he is indeed the best tourism minister we ever had. I can't think of any other that I could compare him to.
Marcus Platt was pretty good too, I
Well, there
think.
you go. Yeah, I think Mark was but but now it's easier to be a good one with the kind of money that's coming into Anthony Mala. Do you see the kind of money that the Ministry of Tourism is throwing now? They're going to throw a lot of money into Carnival. Uh, um, I don't. It's easier to then be good with that kind of wherewithal behind you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
I never found the tamales person, by the way.
you didn't find him?
No,
Well, you
no.
should
I
have
went.
come back, man. And you looked over on the side of the street, and there was nobody
Yeah,
there.
I drove down it and all of that, and I went to the next one and I drove down it. No vehicle was there with the backup and selling tamales. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Now
Yeah,
that's
Gregory,
on.
I saw G Mike eating some tamales, and it was one of the nice juicy ones.
oh
Not
man,
dry and rubbery. And he told me about this guy, so I'll have to catch the guy another time. He's
But
out there today.
Tamales is really good, and again, it's unfortunate because I decided to boycott them, but I love the tamales, and I went from $3.50 to $4, which are a lot of money for tamales.
Yes,
And
I
I
was
thought it
telling
was
you.
already high, and then to raise it more. And I think this is the problem we have to
well,
with
try
it.
550 for a tamales out here.
How much? Yeah, but
550.
that are out there with that US money too, so that
Yeah,
$11 Belize, right?
yes, yes.
Boy, make we enjoy. No, don't try that. No, don't try that, Jeremy. That got nothing to do with it.
Not
Wait,
getting no
but
idea, right?
yeah, but no man. I think what happened. People raise more than they have to. I could understand. You could say, all right, chicken again a little more expensive. Everything else to get more expensive. Gas to go up. We have to drive around and bring it. But you could kind of you don't have to make as much as you could make, if you know what I mean. If you have to raise, maybe I need 25 cents, I could understand that. Boy, all right, you raise only 25 cents to cover the cost that's going up. But where you want to, man? Just guy, you need a next room for your house. I can't pay for it by myself, So, but where saw that go? The story with the Rasta policeman. What do you think about that, Jeremy?
Oh yeah.
Um, that he was
Me,
suspended.
I think that I heard Troy Gab talking about it, and I agreed with him. I think that if you know going in to an organization knowing what the rules are and so on, you can't get in and then all of a sudden want them to change your rules to adapt to you. And I don't believe in it. So I think that he has every right that he should not be allowed to wear his dreadlocks. I know that's not a popular thing, but
Yeah.
I have to say something. I was up at the army camp for Memorial Day, and there was he was from Saint Lucia, but he's in the British forces. He had dreadlocks, and I went up there and said, "Wow." I didn't know that you were allowed to wear dreadlocks in the British Army. He was in, I think, St. Lucia's army, but he was in the British Army also in Belize at Bat Sub, and I was quite impressed with that. But I don't know what their rules are,
But
But yeah,
what was his response to you when you said that to him?
he was kind of solemn about it. He didn't go like, "Oh yeah, yeah." He wasn't that friendly, but
Uh,
I don't know. Maybe the question of me saying that may have been an issue with him. I don't know. But I was very interested because of the class in school where they don't want kids wearing dreadlocks
I
in
know, I know,
at
I know.
schools. Yeah.
I know a fine line. I don't. Are we getting too liberal? Should we even? Because discipline is necessary, and discipline is learned.
And uniformity, feeling that you
But
belong to a group. Yeah.
well, and looking like you're representing that group in
Yeah.
a good. So that one, I might be with you on that one. I am with you on that one. That I think that going in that this is what even the schools. Once you come out of school, or once you quit that job, you can wear hair as long as you want and in any style. But once
Yeah.
you're there, wherever you're in school, you're learning that. And one of the lessons that you have to learn is that everything is not going to be your way and how you want it, and you have to live with that. So you
Yeah.
learn
That's
that
right.
lesson.
Totally.
Yeah, man. You learn that lesson by
Yeah.
understanding that, all right, I want my hair like this, I don't want to cut it. And the teacher at school, the policy at the school is you have to have your hair a certain length. Now, another time they bring it up, but how the girls have their hair long? Well, I'm against the girls with all these long extensions where they nearly drag the ground. I don't even I don't think that school girls should have that. I don't know that you could tell them how to wear their hair, but if it's presentable, that's all right. But then you got
Yeah.
something like I don't the braids. They have some braids that they put in,
Yeah.
and
I just believe, G Mike, like if you want your son to go to SJC, or if you want your daughter to go to St. Catherine's, and you know what their policy is, and you know that it addresses hair, that the dress has to be below the knees and all of that, and the black shoes and white socks and things like that. You know what the policies are, and then you get in there and then you want to change it to suit your agenda. I think that is wrong. That's what I believe, and you can crucify me for that if you want to, but
but
that's
I
what I
see
believe.
I'm not crucify you for anything except for your support of Trump. That's the only thing I crucify you for. Um,
I'm gonna give a list of all the good things he has done, but I know that you all won't agree. But anyway,
yeah, that the way I'm gonna wait for. But yeah, right, we don't get it. So that like the answer what you're gonna wait from me. Um, um, but yeah, there was a situation where um, the funny thing is that the attorney general who's leading the charge in all of this has dreadlocks. Did,
yeah.
did you find that ironic?
Is there a policy about ministers as regards to hair? I don't think
Uh,
so.
I don't think so, and I don't know if there should be. Should there be? That the question.
Well, the things with like the army, why they say that you shouldn't have long hair is because if you ever get in combat, that is one of the things that people can grab to fight you with. A policeman, you seen the girls that fight and they have all these extensions and how they haul off one another. They hold on to each other's dreadlocks and extensions and all of that. It's a way of getting that's probably why the police don't want the long hair or the dreadlocks, because it's something that somebody that you're trying to arrest or whatever can defeat you by holding on to that. Plus, I guess presentation too, But there are dreadlocks that are very presentable. That you got the real dreadlocks where you just like comb your hair and it gets all natty and all of that. But then
And
there's the
that
other
bongo,
ones.
I call that one bongo natty. Bongo
Okay,
natty.
bongo natty,
Yeah,
bongo.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, and yes, some dreadlocks are presentable.
Yeah,
Um, I I also find that if it's because you're a Rastafarian, fine. Them are religious thing because you need religious freedom. You need to praise how you want to
mhm,
praise. But just as a fashion statement, then I think that a different thing because you can't. you have to confirm to the policies in place. Like you said, you can't go
Well,
and
I thought
expect.
about, yeah.
No,
Go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go
I
ahead.
can't
Yeah.
expect you go ahead and change everything like you said
Yeah.
because you want it that way, you know.
Well, I thought about it. They're claiming that he has right to his religious expression, but then again, marijuana is part of their religion. How do the police look at that? Is he allowed to smoke marijuana?
But I don't know that the one as a I don't want tradition within where you say like one religious thing because there's some Rastafarians who don't smoke, so you don't have to
Yes.
smoke. You see what I'm saying? So that's not something where they want integral part of the religion, and not like praying, like the Muslims will throw down a matter and pray 7 times a day.
Yeah.
So if you're dealing a Muslim, you know you're deal with that. But this are not smoking marijuana or something like that, no.
Yeah.
I don't, but marijuana now, and another matter with that, I think marijuana should be um, legalized, and we've gone through that enough times. I don't think it should be public, nor not even cigarette. I don't think any of those because
Yeah.
they're obtrusive. I mean, they're
Yeah.
people
Have
who,
laws like liquor. You can't drink on the streets. You can't smoke on the streets. Things like
yeah,
that.
yeah. But guys, anyway, Gregory, I'm sorry you came so late, man. You missed a good part of the conversation because we had Jeremy against the wall. When
Yeah,
we
they had
right,
against the
You know,
wall.
when I was driving, I was listening to it in my car.
very
But
much
Yeah, I
time
had a
is
hard
right.
time there.
I
I
know, I
didn't
know.
think. I don't think I did a good job. I'm gonna have to review myself.
Recoup and do this again another
Well,
time.
it's always kind of hard to defend the undefensible.
Oh,
Yes,
oh, you agree with that, Jeremy?
true
You
that.
agree with
I agree with that. Yes, yes, yes,
it's
yes.
indefensible. I agree. Guys, thanks a
I put
lot.
myself against the wall. Yeah, sorry.
Anything else? Any Gregory? Things going well with you? All is well.
All is well, all is well. Busy at work, and
Better busy than bored.
Yeah.
I know, I'm extremely busy right now.
So,
Yeah.
regards to the
My
family,
son is in
man.
California. You've been having some bad weather or some lot of rain and snow and things like that.
We've been having rain, and I live close to the mountains where I live in California. I live in the suburbs near going towards Palm Springs, and
But it
Uh-huh.
never rains in Southern California, does it?
well, it's raining here. We had rain
I
all
guess they sure
weekend, and we had rain last night, and
the
some
world
today
the
too.
world is
You see,
changing. The world is changing.
yeah.
Folks,
See, here's
thanks for
another thing,
tuning
G.
in.
Mike. I don't agree with Trump. Is he doesn't accept climate change? I do. I do.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
we're experiencing that in Belize and throughout the Caribbean.
And
Yes.
I'm with Trump on that. I don't put much stock in it. It had climate has always changed since the beginning of time. But this
Yeah,
one,
I agree. I agree, but we could do something to kind of
Yeah.
alleviate some of it.
yeah,
Not,
but
not
but
so
but
much.
what can we do when, in particular, us the regular citizens, when the big corporations are not gonna do that, they're gonna keep making their
Yeah,
money. So
yeah, yeah.
me now, as a small person, the best I could do is smoke cigarette, and I don't do that. So I don't know what else we're gonna do, guys. We're up all the
Okay.
time, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please,
Good
we'll see
night.
you next week, same time, same place. See why we're done here.
All right, CY. Good night, CY.
Good night,
Good
CY.
night.
Good
Hello,
night,
CY.
everybody.
Good morning, CY. CY might she might drop the sleep behind the wheel if I win. But
No.
no man, you know that we usually go and leave it over time to so you must think it give you a little break for that no.
Give us a little
But
break. All right, then.
but guys,
Okay.
really it's interesting times
It
and we
is.
have to stay
It is
yeah
interesting times in every reach. Did you
every
guys mention
aspect.
about the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson?
Oh yeah, briefly. I think Joe said something about it that
Okay.
that we lost opposition to Trump or
Yeah.
one of the voices,
Yeah.
one of the loud voices out there. I didn't even know he was ailing though. Uh,
Oh, he's been sick for the last 7 8 years, kind of.
wow.
I think
Okay.
he had Parkinson or something like that, and that kind of
Kept him
moved
out
over.
of his spotlight, limelight too. Yeah.
And he's also up there in age too. You have to remember
Yeah.
that too. You know.
Yeah, he's 84. He's 84.
And people are just dying all over the place, man. I'm afraid to ask when I see somebody now. I'm afraid to ask for somebody. Man, how soon I saw the dope boy that man did last week? What I didn't know.
Yeah.
But you know,
I
I
learned
don't
today
worry.
too
I don't worry
that
so
I
much
did
about the
fast.
old ones. I worry about the young people
But
that are
that
dying.
ain't though, Gregory. That's what's happening. People who you don't think would you don't think you'd hear that happening. So I hear you're not worrying about Jesse, but poor Jesse anyway, man, right? But
Yeah.
If
Well,
the
he was
young people are
iconic in
dying,
our days. I don't know how old Gregory is, but G. Mike,
I'm
when growing up in Belize in the 60s and 70s, you know, Jesse was a part of that whole civil rights movement.
oh
Remember?
yeah.
Yeah. So that was he ever a Black Panther? No, he wasn't. He
no,
never was.
No, I think
no.
he was. Did he run for president or just for the
Yes,
primary?
twice. He
Twice
ran
he ran
twice.
for
Yeah.
president. Yeah, and the one time he did really good. He
Yeah.
was actually the gate opener for Barack Obama. I think
Right. But
I think he had gotten like 12 million votes, and he had gotten a very large percentage of white votes at that time. Poor white people. That time it
yeah.
wasn't Trump that was getting them; it was Jesse that got them. He had
Interesting.
gotten he had gotten
I
a lot of poor white people from the Appalachian and those areas, and so that always make me think that what has happened with poor white people, they have been turned, and that's always the scale they play. You know, whenever the predominant um, ethnic groups see that there's some appeal to against, you know, the white apostrophe. I can't even say it right now, but
good. I get atrocity. We got you. Yeah.
yeah. Um, then they seem to lead themselves to kind of bring them back into the fold in some ways so that they don't leave, and I think that reckons back to what they call the Bacon revolt that had happened in the United States way back in the 1800s, you know, where
Well,
where where black people, poor black people and poor white people actually revolted against the rich white people, and that had caused some consternation that they sort of gave the idea of whiteness to include even those different groups of white people that they did not consider white for many times, like the Irish, the Portuguese, the Jew, not Portuguese.
and not the Jews because nobody
The
likes
Jew,
the Jews.
no, but I'm saying at that time, but later on they sort of incorporate them because even now in the modern construct of whiteness, Jews are considered pretty much part of the white elite.
And European, they are. I mean, and that
Yeah.
apartheid where makes it
Mhm.
all interesting because
Yeah.
I don't see any resemblance to a Middle Eastern there. I mean, we could look at an
Mhm.
Arab and say, all right, he's been in the sun for a while. You look at the Africans, he's been in the sun for a while. But somebody was asking, how come the Jews left the land as Middle Eastern and came back as European? Interesting
Well,
change.
yeah,
Because
something
they
happened.
intermarried, I guess. Yeah.
Huh?
Something happened out there.
They don't allow them to marry nobody else.
Yeah.
Or how they got the name Stein and all those Russian names and so on. You know, how did
Because
they
they
get
live
those
there.
names?
They live there for years. That, in fact,
Uh-huh.
that's where many of them are from. They're
Yeah. Yeah.
Europeans from that area of the world. But so remember when they decided to start Israel, the country, they just everybody was there. They needed people, so they was just bringing in anybody who wanted to call himself a Jew. And
But
I
you
think
said
it's still
something
happening.
interesting.
Huh?
They left
Black.
Israel and went to
They left
Europe
as black
as
and
Middle
came
They
back as
left
Eastern. So
Jew.
that
Palestine.
means
They left Palestine. They didn't leave
they
Israel.
left Palestine. So they looked like Palestinians, like the, you know, of how
Yeah.
Palestinians look today. And they
Yeah.
went to Europe and somehow
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
lost their genetical
But this is over
Melanin.
I don't know
Melanin.
how they
thousands of
used to
years.
look, how they used to look.
Yeah, this is over thousands of years. It's not
Yeah.
over. It's not over a few years. The idea
Yeah,
is that
but
they
but
left.
um but
Yeah,
but
you know, because if you look at Australians and they're English, their ancestry is English. If you look at an Australian comparing to an Englishman, they look a little bit different. And thinking that evolution, all that time in the sun, blah blah blah, different environment is changing them how they look also.
Yeah. It tells us
So
that
maybe
evolution is
one
a
day,
constant, right?
maybe one day those Israelis might look like that, huh? After the sun beats on them for a while, they might.
Yeah.
Interesting situation. I tell you that because you know what funny is that not many people are talking about that anymore. The Epstein files and then the Venezuela issue, and that is the problem because it's easy to push stuff off of the front burner, push
Yeah.
it to the back, and bring other things up front.
Well,
And they
why you think they're putting the pressure on Cuba? It's for
right they
exactly that
create
reason.
create they create the crisis to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what's going to happen to the Epstein files, Gregory? Are we going to
Yeah.
see anybody get
You know,
prosecuted at any point?
it looks like in the United States, the only person that got it was Miss Maxwell, right? In England, Andrew,
Oh
the
man, he
he has
fell.
not been arrested. He was arrested and charged for some misbehavior and violation of the English law in that he had shared some information with some people related to the Epstein clan.
And
So
he lost his title, right? Didn't he?
yes, he lost his title. Yes. His Royal
Yeah.
Highness title he lost.
Yeah.
But you
Can
know,
you
in
imagine how
America,
his kids must feel? His kids must feel terrible. His kids
yeah,
must feel terrible.
I
You
think
know.
everybody feels terrible about that because
Yeah.
I heard you guys mentioning some of the atrocities and some of the claims of
Yeah.
misbehavior with children that happened. Some of those things sound so horrible. You
Man.
wonder, is somebody just making that up, or is that
Well,
what's
well,
really
well
being
see, Gregory, that's something, no, where I tell you, one has to wonder because it's bad enough as it is, but they try to add things on. And that when nowadays you don't know what to believe
Yeah, you don't
because
know.
people will lie.
Yeah.
Even the president of the United States will lie. That what he. So you
Yeah.
don't even know what to believe, and sometimes you don't have to. I I spoke to my nephew one time when he's an attorney, and I said, "Well, why do the police lose so many cases? Why do they just can't convict anybody?" And he said, "Well, I'll
Mhm.
tell you what I think it is." He said, what they do, they try embellish the evidence that they have. And
Mhm.
once you tell a lie, you have to tell 1,000 lies.
Yeah.
And once you got one trained lawyer that's facing you, when
Yeah.
you tell one lie, that
You could have
damages your
marvelous.
credibility forever.
Yes.
Only man could get away with it at Trump. You know how much lie the man tell and April? There are people like Jeremy Spooner who still support him without reservation. How we enter that?
I
How we
support
enter?
the Republicans. Ay, 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 ay. Look
Yeah.
here. Okay, what brought down Andrew, Prince Andrew? Is it that latest photograph with him with the young girl lying down on the ground and he kneeling over her?
Yeah. I
That's
think
the
that,
final thing?
and then I think that was also one of it. But he also had seemed to have been compromised in terms of um, making some accommodation. Apparently, he had a ambassador role as a agent for the British government, and he had done something in allowing people to have access to that space that he had that were involved with Epstein. So I'm not quite sure what, because they haven't really said exactly, but that's the understanding I got, that in his official capacity and role in government, he allowed access to some people to meet Epstein, or he had a meeting at his office with Epstein and some
Facilitating
other people.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There,
So
there two things though. I want number one, who compiled 6 million documents? That I mean, his plan was obviously to blackmail people, indeed, no. And so he just gathered all this evidence against them and held it. And the
well,
Yeah,
next
but
thing,
they
uh,
said he was an agent for both Israel and
yeah,
Russia.
that was interesting combination there. I
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but
but
I'm
how
wondering.
these people I mean, they're supposed to be smart people. Did they feel that they were untouchable, that they'd allow themselves to be photographed with these young girls and so on. I mean, come on.
But you know what?
that's a weak point for people. That type of behavior seems to could snare a lot of people.
Yeah, and could bring you down. I mean, and that's why I say I believe that might be Trump's downfall.
And
But
you know what? They've been trying to trace his accumulation of wealth, and
right.
they don't have any really way of seeing.
You mean
how he got so wealthy.
Epstein, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't have any other way of kind of figuring it
No
out
way, yeah.
other than to say he had been in some way blackmailing people and getting money in that.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I saw a report. I don't know how credible it is, but they're saying the latest thing on his death, Epstein's death, that he didn't commit. He was strangled. Apparently, that's what they're
Well,
saying.
I think we could all believe that. I think that's an easy thing to believe.
yeah, well,
That he was killed. True, he was murdered.
there was 8 minutes that was missing from the tape.
Yeah.
They had a tape of it, but 8 minutes was missing, and it just
Wait,
happened.
I thought it was a couple of hours.
No, not that long. I'm only 8 minutes.
Okay.
I thought that and I mean, I'm not going to argue it vehemently there, but
I know the guards said, I'm not talking about the tape. I know the guards said that they did not, for 2 hours, they're supposed to have checked on him every half hour or something like that.
And they did check on
in
him.
one period, for 2 hours, they did not check on him.
Yeah, they figure he done dead. We're going to check on him. But I saw another story now that says he's not dead. They photograph him in Israel, and they face recognition and all of that. So this is what I'm saying, because you don't know what to believe.
Exactly.
I have a question too. Is then people don't know about fire? I mean, how come they didn't destroy those fires? There was somebody protecting it, somebody making sure they not touch them. Well, how can they?
Well, remember what happened? The files got seized when he got arrested, and then the government started building a case using the research they had gotten from the files.
That's a funny thing, because that's suggesting maybe that there is that separation where, like the president, because Trump now, if he knows he's in it, you would think that he'd want to see those destroyed, and all the other big people. So
the files was always in a special place that not anyone could get it. It was always
somebody had to be able to get it.
I mean, it was always in the curator of the Justice Department, right? And it's not easy to go and say, I want these files and get them. And
I guess you'd have to need a lot of people collaborating in that, and maybe they don't have it. Another thing too, I think there's a billionaire club, and that people with money tend to get bored and don't know what they want to do, what they all this money, what they do, and that's something, it seems that a dark secret that they had. And while the poor people will not ever be able to bring down the rich people for having money, because you always got those who will defend them and say, oh, they work for their money, so that for them they have to have as much as they want to have. Something like this could make them say, you know what, hold on, make we look on the people again with all their money and what they do with it, no?
Yeah. Well, we have the case with Diddy, right? The same kind of character flaw and behavior.
There's some freakiness there. That comes
that
out.
Now, what happened to him in the end? Is he serving prison time now?
Yeah. He's been in jail. I think he has 2 more years or a year and a half more to go with this.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, that's it. Have a nice evening. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. See why we done.
Good night, everybody.
Alongside Kevin, I'll Rasta here, I must everyone knows. Rasta, yeah, must, loud and clear. Make your bed out and kneel, you have to sleep on it. Other people business, when you better stop peep on it. Only your friends can know about your secret. If Adam you, I would have just keep it. Make your